So it's a great question. So let me put that back up again. Feeding oral motor goals. How do we write them? What is a realistic feeding goal? Charlie will add 1 more food to his diet in 1 term, or 2 foods in a term. What do you guys think? Let's open the floor for a while and see, maybe not answering the question, but what are your thoughts around it? What are the...
Does it depend on the kid?
What's normally my answer to, does the goal depend on the kid?
Yes.
100%. You know, we can come up with a bank of goals. I think that's possible, but yeah, 100% it depends on the kid, and it depends on the kid, and it depends on the environment, and depends on the occupation. Yeah, well,
what do you think,
elements of the occupation? Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you paused.
No. I was like, well, of course, the occupation is feeding, but it's bigger than that. It's the elements of, you know, the context and how it's set up and what happens as well.
I think also one of the things that is pretty important with this kind of goal is, why is the kid having difficulty? Is it because we don't have the oral motor capacity, or that's a bit tricky, or is it because the taste of food, of some of the things I don't like? Is it because I just want to avoid anything that's green? So I think it's really important to find out what's the reason behind not wanting to eat, and then, you know, whether is it we have to bring a bit more awareness into our oral motor muscles, or is it because we need to take eating from the fear bucket into the fun bucket?
That was beautiful, Nish.
I know, I was just about to say, that's like a Kimber Thel, like when we used to record the moments. That was it.
That was a moment. It was exactly right. So we're wanting to get better at writing goals, and we're wanting to get specific goals. And that can suck us into thinking that this is a linear progress, task-based goal of, you know, you eat 1 more food that's new, you eat 2 more foods that's new, you eat 3 more foods that's new. And that's possible. I would think that progress you're more likely to see in feeding is more of an exponential growth curve. So it's much slower at first if you do it well, but you set the stage to then it goes more rapidly if you do it right.
Dave, can I ask something?
Yeah.
Because on the weekend, a friend was opened up and just was telling us about how she's going through this with her son, and I really didn't understand how complex it is. And I was like, oh, that is like just so overwhelming for me. Like, where do I even start with that? But of course, I know that I have the support. But hearing from this mum, she was saying that I think she's working with a psychologist, and she was saying we have 27 like levels, or, you know, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a lot. And it, you know, the early ones are like just even tolerating the food in their space.
Yeah. And
of course, everything that you're saying, you know, she was saying about, you know, not making a big song and dance about it. And, you know, we saw that on the weekend. He was able to just freely, like, he was having a good time with his friends. And then he came to the table and picked up a piece of garlic bread and licked it, and then threw it back down and ran away. And, you know, it was kind of like everyone was kind of doing a happy dance with their eyes. You know, this is also new to me, and I love that I'm hearing about it in my world now. But I am nervous, and I love that, when you were like, I think, was it your question, you know, about the goals? I mean, can the goals be something like just tolerating it in their space? I mean, is that sort of
good segue?
Is that like, sorry, I'm just
perfect segue.
Like,
I would say that thinking about goals in terms of the moving from avoidance to tolerate, to trying, to enjoying, to choosing might be along your scale. Getting kids involved in what those foods might be as you do it, and tolerating might be, and so like tolerating is a huge one, right? Tolerating is, can they tolerate it being on their plate and touching the foods that they're going to eat? Can they tolerate it being on their plate if it's separate from the foods they're going to eat? Can they tolerate it in a section plate, so it's on their plate, but it's clearly not going to touch the foods they want to eat? Can they not tolerate it on their plate, but they can tolerate it in a bowl that's on their placemat? Can they not even tolerate it there, but they can tolerate it on the table because other people are eating it? Or on the table in the middle of the table? Can they tolerate it on other people's plates? Can they tolerate it in the kitchen? That's sort of like, again, that's like a whole series of systematic desensitization in terms of moving from that avoidance and that stress response to, I can deal with this. This is moving from fearful to blah, and I'm not exploding because this is within this vicinity. Most kids, if you can build up that trust, can tolerate it being on a training bowl on their placemat for most foods. So if you're really serious about making progress, if the family's really serious about making progress, then I would say that the best way to do it is eating family style, where it's all out on the table and then you serve yourself. And everyone has some of everything, including, as long as there's including preferred foods that they have, that are their preferred foods. And mum and dad also eat their preferred foods. And, you know, the goal would be, so you got chicken nuggets and chips, broccoli, chicken schnitzel, corn, and don't know, you know, maybe there's mashed potatoes as well. And so you're putting it all on your plate and you're just eating it and you're having fun and having a good night. They put some in there on their plate, they put some on their training plate. And you just get into the habit of, you do not have to eat this. The parent chooses where, the parent chooses when, the parent chooses what, so long as there's preferred foods and the kid's not going to starve. And the child chooses whether they put it in their mouth. If you can build that trust and help the parent take a breath for 3 to 4 months and not expect rapid progress beyond tolerating a range of different foods on their space, they'll see progress. If you try and force that piece, you run big risks. Is that a good place to wrap it up for them? And be kind to parents. You know, I do this stuff, I've seen it successful, and I still, with my own kids, I'm like, just try it. You'll like it. I know you'll like it. It's like this other thing you like. Just eat it. You like it. And you can sort of get away with that if you've got a bit of trust and the kid's pretty regulated and they try it and they're like, actually, that's good. But for our kids that are a little more, and the other thing is, don't trick kids, right? If a kid will eat spaghetti and that's it, be very careful about screwing with their spaghetti, right? And adding extra little things. That you can get away with it. You can add carrot to spaghetti really easily and other stuff, but some of our kids, once you've tricked them like that, then they lose a food that was a preferred food, falls out of their diet as well.